What up, what up, what up, what up? What's up, guys? So, check it out. Today, I didn't really have anything planned besides this that I wanted to say first, and then I'm just going to take it from there. Um, Two things, actually. So, first, the last few days, also, another thing I've noticed, I like to watch videos on YouTube. I think his name is Thomas D. Lauer. That's one guy. He teaches about fasting and the keto diet and just diet in general. And I'm really interested in learning more about health and overall diets, different kinds of diets that are effective, popular, studied, well known, etc. And then I also like to watch videos about like motivational speakers or entrepreneurs, etc. Um, like TED Talks and these kinds of things. Um, I forget his name. I think his name's like Tim Balui. I feel horrible. I don't remember his name. He's an awesome guy. Impact Theory is the name of his show on YouTube, and I should remember his name because he's a dope dude. But anyways, I like to watch videos, right? So I've noticed that when I watch them before I go to sleep, they just don't do me good for my eyes. I don't like it. They basically it bothers my eyes in general. Just being on the phone too much bothers my eyes, but especially right before I go to sleep, I really don't like it, and I've noticed it more the last few days. And I'm not sure if it's because I've been drinking a lot of smoothies, NutriBullet smoothies, and I've been putting a lot of very strong superfoods in there, like cacao, turmeric, bee pollen, etc. But maybe it's all the lutein and the vitamin A, the beta carotene. I'm not sure. Maybe it's all that good eye vitamins, because those vitamins are good for your eyes. But anyways, I definitely don't. I'm realizing that I don't like to watch videos, or I don't like to. Maybe I'll try wearing glasses when I watch videos. Anyways, besides that, so I just wanted to share that before I go to sleep, it does affect me. I've been realizing really strongly recently that anytime that I watch videos before I go to sleep, my eyes are just bothering me. So it's something I wanted to share. Maybe you could pick up on it too. And so from there, check it out. I just wanted to say, I feel this is the second thing I want to say. I feel that it's important that I'm fairly to significantly honest on YouTube. I mean, obviously in person, when I get to know somebody more, the conversation can get more personal. But even on YouTube, I think it's important that I'm somewhat fairly, translucent, because my opinion, I mean, my intention is to help others and to guide others and to relate and to encourage, etc. So what I guess I'll proceed from there. So one thing that happened, for example, last year, recently, right now, I'm fairly young. I'm 28 years old. Last year, right at the end of December, like the last week or so of December, or last weeks maybe, but I think it was like anyways, like within the last 2 weeks of December, I got a job at a restaurant, and I had basically on average 10-hour shifts. Sometimes it might be 9.5, sometimes it might be 11, but it was like a 10-hour average shift, 6 days a week. So January through right about July, maybe like mid-July, I was working 60 hours a week just at the restaurant. And on top of that, I was getting paid a set pay, so like a salary. So it was nice. And then on top of that, I was being offered paid living. So I was being, I was offered a place to live, and I wasn't paying to live there. Basically, it was a part of the deal. Like if I moved there, it was a brand new restaurant, and the lady needed, people that were willing to work there consistently day after day to get that restaurant running. And I just want to say that, I'm proud of myself, and also I'm very grateful. That's a better word to say, for myself, because I definitely made great things happen there. I would say my attitude was outstanding. I really believe that, for the work that I was able to accomplish. And I'm passionate about restaurants, so that's why this means a lot to me. I've talked about that in previous videos. And it was awesome to get to help, develop the first year of a restaurant like that. It had only been open a month when I got there, so it was awesome to help a restaurant develop the way it did. And it was a smaller restaurant, but it was an awesome restaurant because it was simple. It was like a dumpling house, and there's not a dumpling house around here. Over here in this area, I live in Thousand Oaks, California, but that was more on the border of Westlake and Agoura. It's right on the border. But anyways, it's a nice area. That's my point. And so people come. And since we don't have a dumpling house around here, it was nice for people. And I got to learn how to make dumplings from scratch, handmade. Had to work with the dough, fresh dough, and I got pretty fast. And I really enjoyed it, to be honest. Significantly, I enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm passionate about restaurants. But anyways, point being, so what I'm trying to get at is, I was making a decent amount of money I can't complain. I was definitely grateful. I was making a set amount of money, and I was getting my living paid for, so I didn't have to pay for somewhere to live. And there was laundry there, so I could wash there. And so from there, I also had another job with a moving company that I've been with for a couple years now. So I would go work there on my day off. So that would help me make a little extra money. And I also get tips at the moving company. So, I remember at one point I worked like over 40 days straight without a day off, which is awesome. That was an awesome, part of the year. And so money, the financial income was flowing. There was money flowing. And then right about July, I actually got an extra day off at this restaurant. So instead of working 6 days a week, I only worked 5 days a week. But I was still getting paid the same amount of money. And so then now I had 2 days off a week. So I went to work at the moving company those 2 days off whenever they had work for me as well. So now I was making a little bit more financial income. And so the point is, some of the reasons this is all so significant to me is because I have children. Okay, I have 3 children, and I have the mother of my children. And I believe, and I'm sure we all are, but I see a difference in some people and other, and that's just the truth. I think we can all agree with that. But what I mean is, I believe I have a very strong emotional situation where it really bothers me to see the mother of my children and my children when they're not living like absolutely comfortable. And I'm sure as parents we can all relate. I'm not gonna lie, I've seen some parents that are not as attentive or as concerned to some extent, and that's true. It's just honest. And anyways, point is that I really get affected by it and so having this income, throughout the year up until November. So from like I said, the last weeks of December up until right about July, like mid July, I was doing 6 days a week at the restaurant, then one day at the moving company, and then after that I was doing 5 days at the restaurant and 2 days at the moving company and making even a little extra more money. So I was able to help my family. That's my point. I was able to financially help my family a lot more last year. And then, you know, so this whole translucent thing, often there seems to be a lot of stress because of money situations. And so that's why I don't like to see, for example, the mother of my children, that's one great example, struggling because she needs to pay her car payment or her rent. So whenever I was making, extra money, like I said, I'd make tips sometimes at the moving company, and some days we get way better tips than others. So some days I'd really have some extra cash, and I was so happy to help her because I knew, I was just, it would make me feel so much better too. I could get back to work, especially since I was working so much. When I knew she was not, when she was emotionally struggling, I knew that it would affect me even throughout my workday. When you're at work and you can't concentrate because something else is going on outside of work, they kind of say you got to keep your problems at the door or something like that. But still, dude, if you love your family. So anyways, so right about November, like the first half of November, were my last days at this restaurant. And I'd say for good reason, because for a long story short, I respect myself. And I have been ready to make significant changes with my life and the things I focus on. For a long time, I just hadn't really put really concentrated effort and direction towards doing that. In the last couple years I have. And last year was a very, very powerful year for me. It was a very strong year for me. I really developed a lot last year in a positive way. And there was some failure throughout the year. But the good thing is that it was mostly positive. And the failure, man, it's a part of it as far as I've understood. But man, this year I feel even stronger. Last year I felt really strong. And those failures, though, even though they were a lot less than, I had a great year last year, especially compared to how I've lived most of my young life, because I've never lived with like a very focused, intentional, like routine and vision. And last year I did. Absolutely, the whole year I had a absolutely decisive direction, intentional vision, and I developed great habits, great behaviors, I developed great abilities and skills and like discipline, commitment, and just great qualities, to be honest. And there was like temporary failures between that, and they only helped me understand how much I wanted to keep pushing. And this year, I just feel so much stronger. This year, I feel like I'm going to have even stronger of a year than last year, which is incredible. But so the whole thing I've been talking about, okay? I'm 28. November comes around. I leave this restaurant job where I had my paid living situation, so I didn't have to pay for my living area. I had a decent income, basically salary. I had a couple of extra days where I could go work at my other job and make a little extra income. And then in November, I left the restaurant job, and that income significantly diminished. That income significantly disappeared. That's that financial income. And I had to move back to my mother's house. And right when I left, I had a moment of failure. You know, I kind of had a moment of um, just a bad time for a few weeks right there. But then I got out of that. You know, I shook it off. I had like a couple of weeks. That was probably the worst failure I had the whole year, fair to say, where I had a couple of really strong weeks where I was just not feeling great and not doing great because I basically just let myself um, I let myself get drowned in the negativity. But I pulled myself out quick. And before this year started, I got back on focus, back on track. In December, I decided, man, we're getting back. We're going. What am I doing? This is crazy. This is stupid. I can do so much. I've already done so much, and I'm already doing so much progress and improvement with my life. So, being 28 years old, moving back to my mother's house, having all this legitimate, significant financial income the whole year, living, you know, without needing help from anybody else, significantly, you know, just working and taking care of my family and supporting myself. And, you know, I've racked up some bills and some credit cards and so on, some court payments. And the reason I'm mentioning all this is because I want to encourage others. There is people, I feel like often we try to hide, or we try to ignore, or we try to basically not let certain parts of our lives be seen. Because, for example, who wants to be 28 years old back at their mother's house? But there's a lot of situations like that. That's just one example, but there's a lot of situations like that, right? But here's the thing. Now I find myself, for the last few months, in this situation. And now I've just been working for the moving company. And the moving company is on and off work. For like 2 weeks, I had a lot of work. And now these last 2 weeks, I've worked like one day. And to be honest, I'm not sure why or how the work got so slow. But it's the emotional experience that comes along with it that I'm trying to express. Because I'm a 28-year-old young man or big kid with children, and the mother of my children. And I love to take care of them and help and do my part. And I'm also working hard towards changing my life in a very genuine, honest, significant way. And I'm doing great at it. I'm doing a great job at it. I've been for the last couple years. Like I said, last year was super powerful. And this year's just going to be that much stronger. And it's already been very strong. But it is an interesting experience. And you know, I think sharing about this kind of thing somehow should encourage other people. Because I'm going to keep working towards making positive changes. I guess one thing that it's really connected to One huge thing that it's connected to. Whenever I feel stressed out or emotional difficulties or obstacles or uncomfort, like I said, I resort to a lot of old behaviors often, but not anymore, significantly not anymore. I've learned to replace those habits and behaviors. That's what last year was all about. And I guess that's one huge part of why I'm mentioning this too, is because I've learned to make, for a few examples, physical exercise, physical activity, a huge part of my life. And it's a beneficial, positive part of my life. I've learned to make healthy eating and studying and self-education, some days slower than others because of this emotional experience that I'm having sometimes, and also because I'm still strengthening all these new habits and behaviors. However, point is, I'm trying to share that it's not necessarily all comfortable or all easy. It's not all simple. But I encourage others who are ready to make significant changes in their life. For example, with me, I'm getting older. I'm ready to become the young man that I know I'm capable of being, that I have been, and with a little bit of fine tuning and adjustments, could only shine like I never have before, because I've always been an excellent worker. And like I said, I could just either lie to myself or I could be honest. But truth is, I've had several jobs. I have had my my downfalls or my weaknesses, which I will admit. Like I said, I believe it's important to be honest. One of them being that often I would be late or I would call out throughout my work experience, throughout the last, let's say, 12 years of my life that I've worked, or 11 years, no, about 12. So that was definitely one downfall. I'd either be late or I would call out. But my work ethic and my skills, and that's a big deal to me. I do like to show up, and I do definitely take responsibility for that. I definitely do feel like that was not the best thing I could have done. But with that being said, there is a lot more to those, situations. But I have always been an excellent worker. So I've always known that I've been capable of a lot more. I've always known that I've been capable. I've always stood out at every restaurant I work at. I've always been, and there's also been other people who stand out, but there's always a lot less people that stand out. And that's just honest. Like I said, I could either lie or I could be honest, and that's the truth. And so I've always been very, very satisfied, grateful, appreciative of myself and the kind of worker I am. I've worked in restaurants for a long time. I always pay a lot of attention to helping others and to giving great customer service and jumping into other positions, no matter which position it is, whenever I can help, etc. And I've always done a great job. I love to, there's a lot of preparation that has to go in, that's involved with restaurants. No matter which position, you have to prepare yourself every day. I always like to keep my place organized and clean, etc. So I've always been a very outstanding worker. More often than not, a lot more often than not. So all this, I bring it up because there's probably other people that feel the same way. That's why I share all this. But I never had any strong direction or focus, intentional vision towards finally making changes. I was just doing the same thing year after year, going to a restaurant, being an outstanding worker, being frustrated by the environment, by the managers, by the lack of procedures, by the lack of organization, by the lack of passion, by the lack of customer service skills, by the lack of training, by the lack of quality, etc. And I never thought, okay, well, if you really are bothered so much by it, then do something. I don't know why I never thought about it in that way, but I'd go there, I'd make my money, I'd make my tips, I'd go home, and I did that like day after day, year after year, until finally I realized, wait, are you just gonna keep being bothered by these things, or are you gonna change something? And the only thing I can change is myself, and that's where I started to improve myself, and that's where I'm mentioning. So I started to read books, exercise, eat well, etc. But sometimes I would get off track, but I got better and better. So after a few years now, I've gotten really, really good at it. And but now work has been slow, but I've been taking that time to continue to work in the direction that I really care to work towards. And that direction is to help other people start learning how to change their life, while also experiencing and changing my own life, which I have been, but I feel like I have been for long enough now to where I can actually start sharing, and I can actually start guiding other people now through sharing these honest emotional experiences. And a part of that, like I said, I want to be the kind of person that I would like to be around. And I would like to be around healthy, committed, honest, respectful, developed. So, there's self-worth, value, you give you self-respect, things like that. So I want to be around people who are healthy, who have a clear mental mentality, who have a vision, people who have goals and are focused, who have very clear ideas of what kinds of things they want in their life. And so I am also working on myself to become that person and to be that person. And I am becoming, and I am being that person. Absolutely. And you have to start somewhere. And so with that being said, it's an interesting experience emotionally. But if anybody is ready to change their life, and what I want to also make clear, which I've been trying, and I think I've done a pretty good job at it in this video, is that forget about what your idea of what you should be or shouldn't be at the moment. You are where you have come. You are what you are. Like I said, I'm 28 years old. It took me so long to realize, for various reasons. That's a whole nother story, and I'll mention that in other videos. But being young, trying to hold on to the past, trying to hold on to what I was comfortable with, my relationship, my environment, my surroundings, everything that I've always known since I was basically a kid, trying to hold on to that, being resistant to change, not wanting to let go of the past, not wanting to let go of my comforts. That's what kept me stuck for so long. And I'm not trying to blame nothing or no one. I'm just trying to acknowledge it and be honest. And then acknowledging it and being honest is what's helped me be ready to move forward and make changes. So it might have taken me a while. And 28, a lot of people might say, man, you're still so young. Good thing you're noticing those things now. But also I have children. And also, like I said, I have pretty high expectations with myself, and I put pressure on myself. I always have. And I need to. That's the way I feel. I need to take care of my family. And so I need to improve myself. And I'm ready to be around environments where we're taking care of other people too, and teaching other people how to do these things, and making progress, and strengthening ourselves so that we can help others, and so on and so forth, and our families and our communities, etc. So that's why I'm working on the things I'm working on. You can look through my YouTube, you can look through my Instagram, kind of get a better idea of how I'm doing that. And I'm very new to this, fair to say. I've only been working at it for the last like year or two, but also I've definitely, jumped into it. I've definitely been working on it for now a significant amount of time. So I've actually developed substantially compared to what I was for a long time. So I encourage other people to push through the emotional experience. It's not comfortable, because a lot of times basically there's a lot of ideas or expectations of how you should be or what you should be doing. And the best thing I can share is be honest with yourself. And if you are really significantly selfless and you are really focused, your intentions are focused in the right direction, then trust yourself. But also, there's going to be a lot of, as far as I've experienced, there's going to be a lot of emotional obstacles, because you're going to have to kind of pay attention more to yourself and stop paying attention to what so many other people around you might think or feel. And other people around you may have valid points, but at the end of the day, everybody's going to have opinions. And make sure your intentions, this is all I've learned so far, and I will continue to learn and share more. Make sure your intentions are worthy and significantly selfless. Start strengthening yourself, but obviously not just for yourself. And start doing something good with those strengths that you get. And take it from there. That's what I recommend. And basically, don't be too, if you are nervous, anxious, if you are confused, if you are stressed out, etc., by the changes you want to make and the experience of changing, and all the environment and the people around you and the opinions and your own voices in your head, basically, telling you, oh man, should I do that? Should I do this? Be honest with yourself. Start making the changes you truly want to make. Make sure they're worthy changes, and start pushing through it. Start pushing through the uncomfort. Start pushing through the confusion. Start pushing through the uncertainty. And that's what I got so far. That's what I'm understanding. So there's a lot of changes. There's a lot of circumstances. There's a lot of things in our past that bring up emotions and feelings at any moment, at any current moment. And, as you get older, whatever age you might be, you feel like, man, I should be better by now. I should be different, or things should be different, or whatever you may feel with your own life. And I encourage you to embrace those feelings. And then I encourage you to dive into self-honesty and reflect and things like that. And really start focusing on yourself. A lot of times, because of the life that we've had and the people who have been around us and the ways we have developed from a young age, even from a kid, our environments, trends, ideas, expectations, etc., even our own self-image that we've developed, after 10 years, you're like, well, okay, I have to look at myself, man. Things are changing. I'm getting older. I'm a dad. I'm ready to become a strong part of my community. I want to support, and I want to be a strong young man. And a lot of things have been the same in my life. Well, now a lot of things have changed. I used to have no kids. Now my kids are 10, 8, and 6. I used to have no kids, or whatever, and now, or I used to whatever, etc. I used to have a great, perfect relationship with a young girl because I was a young boy. And then now I've gone through the whole ups and downs of a relationship, all the goods and all the bads and all the stress and all the highs and all the lows and all this good stuff, right? All the ecstasy and all the agony of the relationship, all the sadness, but all the happiness. I've gone through so much experience with workplaces, even at workplaces, you go through a lot of experiences. Like at restaurants, I have to deal with a lot of different people because there's a lot of different positions. I've gone through experience. I've strengthened overall with experience, and I've grown. So a lot of things have happened in my life. Things have changed. I've lived in different places. I've experienced different times of my life, different years. So eventually I took some time to reflect on all that and decide, what do I want to do now? What do I want to do now with my life? Honestly. And who do I feel that I really am and want to be and care to develop and strengthen, and what do I want my life to consist of, etc. So I encourage people to do the same, regardless of how you feel, what age you are, how you feel about your situation. It may be confusing. You may feel like you should be better or be doing more, or you should, whatever you may feel. You dug a hole. That's a good one. I always feel like, you dig yourself a hole, and then you got to start working and get your way, start working in the right direction. You can either do something or nothing. Anyways, guys, it's a beautiful, beautiful day. I'm out here in Cali, baby. And I'm going to keep working, improve myself, and then so that I can help others as well. Huge part of it. And I encourage, yourself to do the same. Other people who are, steps ahead of me or significantly further on their journey, I'm very grateful for your example as well and your guidance. And let's keep it moving, guys. Talk to y'all later. Peace out.